Hello, welcome back to GOT. This is Mark. We've got the Motorola Razr Fold, and we are now going to compete it against, or compare it against, the Vivo X Fold 5. So we're going to go ahead and compare these, the look, the feel, the software, all the stuff. So let's get to it. So first off, looking at the two of these, you can see it sure does look like the Razr is wider, but maybe not on camera. Here in person it does. It just could be that white color. But I think they are very close to the same size. The Razr is actually slightly taller. I don't know if you can see that here in the camera. I'm trying to show that here. It's just barely taller. You can hardly tell. And then as far as the width goes, I don't know. They're about the same. Let's see there. It's kind of hard to line them up. What do you think? Are they the same? They're about the same width. But according to the specs, the Vivo is 142 millimeters, where this is 144. So it is simply a little bit wider. But to verify that, you've got the screens here. On the Motorola, this is a 6.6 inch in diagonal, where this one is a 6.5. So it's slightly larger, same as the inside screen, and we'll talk about that here in a moment. But looking at these two side by side, we can see, they're very similar. And a lot of these, well, I think all these Chinese phones have created a separate AI button, which you can see right there on this one, and on the Motorola, it's over here on this side. Now, Motorola went and did something I don't like, and that's putting the volumes right there side by side and making it two buttons, where this one is one solid button and then the power button is down lower. And something that everybody likes to point out is Motorola put their buttons up a little bit higher. A lot of people don't like it. I don't mind it because it gives me more room to grip this phone when I want to open it up, so I don't mind it that it's a little bit higher. It doesn't bother me whatsoever. But that's the setup for the buttons. And then the camera, of course, you can see there. It's quite a big different style. One's a square and one's a circle, but they both have the 350 megapixel lenses, so that's really cool. And then over here you've got the hinge, and the hinges are fairly same. You can see that the Motorola, or I'm sorry, that the Vivo is a little thinner, or the Motorola is thicker, is what I was about to say, I guess. And the Motorola is 10.1 millimeters when closed, versus this one is 9.2 millimeters when closed. So it's almost a full millimeter thinner, and you can see that. And then when you look at these sides here, you can see that this one is thinner here. It's hard to tell, hold them like this, but this is thinner. Now, they both have that same rounded design around the edges, which I really like. And they both actually have that same curved display right around the edge. So they're a lot alike when it comes to the screen. Now, this one, I happen to have a Z Fold 7 screen protector on it. It's anti-reflection. And as you can probably see here in the screen here, you can't see me. See, look at that. Okay, so the anti-reflective screen works really good. Would one fit on here from the Z Fold 5? That's a good question, and maybe I should check that out. But natively, it is not an anti-reflective screen. Now, they both have, of course, speakers on both sides. And let's see if I turn them the same way. So the camera, both set up here. And then when we turn them over, it's a center on both sides, isn't it? Nope. It's on one side here, and then on the center here. It's just kind of odd, but they are both on the same half of the phone, as you can see there. And then you have the small USB port, of course, and the SIM tray happens to be on the bottom on both of them. Now, we already know that the Vivo X Fold 5 is thinner, but I'm going to lay them down here, and I'm just going to do a really quick level test from above here, and you can see wherever the bubble is leaning, that is the thicker one, and you can see it's barely leaning towards the Razr, which means the Razr is a little bit thicker. But then when we get over here to cameras, quite a bit more. The bubble's almost, well, it's at least a third. So Motorola with the cameras is much thicker. And as far as weight goes, this one is 217 grams. That is the Vivo. And the Motorola is 243 grams. So it is a little bit heavier. Do I feel it? Not really. They both have a solid build. This thing is metal here on the back, or I guess maybe aluminum, and where this has got that nice texture feel. I'm not sure what it's called, but you can hear it's got a nice sound to it. I really like the way it looks. It's just a bit unique. And if you ask me, I think the Motorola looks a little classier. A lot of folks don't like this look, but I like it. I don't mind the nice finished look here of the ramp. It's just nice and curved. Where here, it's just squared off. But what the advantage to that is, when you hold it in your hand, your finger rests on it, and it's not hard to keep it in your hand. Where here, my finger won't rest; it wants to slip. Okay, so that's a nice advantage to that, but I don't care for the look. Let's go ahead and boot these up. You got a Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 in here, and that's a 4 nanometer processor. Where in here you got a Snapdragon Gen 5. Okay, not Elite, just standard 5, and it is a 3 nanometer processor. So it should be a little bit faster. It's like 2 years newer, I guess, because after the Snapdragon Gen 3 was a Gen Elite, which is essence is the N Elite, which it would be the 4, but they just called it Elite, and then they went to Elite 5, and then they made a Snapdragon Gen 5. I don't think there's a Gen 4 out there. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong. So let's go ahead. We'll push them both at the same time. Push them and see whichever one vibrates first. Okay, Razr first, then the Vivo, quite a bit earlier on the Motorola, but that doesn't matter. We'll see who turns on first. So look at that. The Vivo booted up first. Oh, and I forgot to mention, you can see that by here. This is the Chinese ROM versus the global ROM here on the Motorola. The Motorola is just a straight made for global use. Does not have a Chinese version that I know of. But you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. Now I've got them both booted up here, as you can see, and we'll go ahead and shut them off. And they both have the power button, also has a touch ID sensor on them. So you can see here, just touch that, it's on. Touch this one, it's on. So they're both really quick. So as you can see here, they both look very similar. You know, you've got the folders and you can customize them. There's a little more customization here to the Vivo. As you can see here, you got the folder and you can actually press this, make it small. Okay, you can change the sizes of it. We'll just you get those arrows here and you can customize it. See, I can make it a big square. I can hold it and I can make it small and long. So that's really cool. Same thing with the Oppo and the Honor, but for some reason, not available here on the Motorola Z Fold 7 or the Pixel. So all the US versions. So everything out of this country or Chinese, you can customize a little more. Now, of course, this being the Chinese ROM, it doesn't have the nice feed that I like. Okay, you have to go with the Chinese feed, and I just kind of disable everything because everything comes up in Chinese. So if I want the Google feed, I just got to go here, and then I have the Google food feed. But you can see they flow very smooth. You know, this one being nearly a year older, and a processor, I guess, is 2 years older. You know, it's still very smooth, very quick, and very easy. With the Motorola, it works really well with Google. It just works like any other Android phone. On the Chinese ROM here of the Vivo, it's not so. You can't quite use all the Google apps or the Google apps and the widgets on this phone. It just makes it a little more difficult. But you can see you can still get all the apps. Okay, you can use the Google Play Store, so that's not an issue. Now let's go ahead and open them both up and see the inside here. As you can see, they both have the really nice size inside screens. Now the Motorola is just a little bit larger. As you can see here, it's 8.1 versus 8.03 over here. Slightly larger. But you could tell, at least I could tell by looking at it, that the Motorola is a bit wider. This is a little bit more narrow. I don't think you can see that on the screen. But if you look at the borders, they're about the same. So the bezel on the Motorola is right there with the Vivo. Now let's go ahead and look at the crease, because I know that's important to a lot of folks. You can see it's about the same. You know, the Vivo does really good with the crease. To me, it looks a little bit deeper, but it's not much. You can't really tell. You know, it's really good. Now, over time, I did find out that this one has a creak on it now. Sounds like popping bubbles, you know, inside the hinge. You know, I'll put it up here against the mic, and you can probably hear it. You know, that I don't like. It's one of my only phones that does that. But the Pixel 10 Pro Fold actually does that as well. Not as bad as this one. So I don't know. It's just a difference of the hinge technology or what. Now, when I reviewed this before, a lot of folks were asking, can you use this in the US? Does it work with the carriers? Well, I use T-Mobile, and T-Mobile works with all my devices. Now, I've called and tried to use Verizon on these things. Verizon does not work. AT&T, they claim they don't work, but when I use Verizon, I use it through Spectrum. And I think because it was not the main carrier, they will not allow it to work. So that's what I think. If you use some of the subsidiaries or the lower end budget plans with AT&T or Verizon, they may not allow you to use these foreign phones, but you have no problem on T-Mobile with this phone or the Motorola. Now let's go ahead and test my cellular signal on both of these. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the Wi-Fi off on both of them. Then we'll go ahead and open up speed tests on both of them. Now if you look here, I like this. It has the letters at least, so you can go straight to the S's and you can hit speed test. I don't know why Motorola is not doing that. That just kind of bugs me. So I just got to know my alphabet and scroll down to it. It's not that big a deal. But let's go ahead and run these things on a cellular carrier and see how they perform. Now, so far, Motorola has done really good with the download, but really bad with the upload speed. Let's see how Vivo does. Vivo's not doing too well with the upload speed at the moment. That's interesting. I haven't had issues with it before. Matter of fact, it was very fast. Now the upload speed's good. I'm not quite sure why the download speed's so low. Honestly, I haven't had any issues with the Vivo and my carrier, so I'm not quite sure what's going on here. I'm in my house and I am about 3/4 of a mile from the nearest tower. All the other phones hit up there above 200. I'm not quite sure what happened here. Let's run it independently without that. Let's see if we get a higher speed. Maybe this radio was interfering with that radio when it was doing it. Let's see if it gets any higher. Nope, it looks like it's going to be about the same. So that's interesting. But as you can see, the download speed or the upload speed is higher than what we're getting here on the Motorola. I really don't know why that is. It could be that Motorola needs desperately to come out with an update. So now there's the results on the Wi-Fi. Actually, the Vivo did a little bit better, but they'll switch off. It just all depends on when you do it and what's going on with the bandwidth on my home. I'm the only one home right now. Nobody else is using the bandwidth, but that's what we got. Now let's talk about multitasking. This is where Vivo really sets itself apart from the rest of them, and it's pretty cool. And I really enjoyed it first, but let's take a look at it. So let's go ahead and open up an app. We'll start with Amazon on both of them here. Here's Amazon on both. Now, you could take the Motorola and with three fingers, you can swipe to the side. See how it pushes to the side? It opens up and you can hit a second app. So now with the Motorola, it's 3 fingers up, okay? So very similar. This one's across, this one's up. Either way, you're smudging your screen with 3 fingers, so I don't really care for that. But there we go, and we've got them split. And you can tap this and you can make them swap, okay? Swap either side. So that's where they're similar. Now over here, if you stretch this out, it automatically goes to what people are calling a 9-10 split. But when you tap it, it goes to a carousel, which is really nice. Over here, if you take and go here, you can do a little bit here, and then it closes. You cannot do that 90-10 split. Now the Vivo is totally different from everybody else. If you want more than 2, you take and you slide up here from the corner and drop it right here. Now it's what's called a workbench here. So you've got 2 apps here. You can open up more. Now see, that's really cool. Now you can actually put up to 4 apps here on the side. So let's go ahead and open up YouTube. So there's YouTube now on the side. Let's go ahead and open up one more app. We'll open up my Bible app right here. Now you got my Bible app, see, and you just touch them and they trade places, whichever one. And what's really interesting, let's say for example, I go in and let's say I play a video, and as you can see here, the video is there. And then if I switch to another app, see how the video is still playing? It's live in the background. It will continue. And with any app you do, they stay live right there. So that's really cool. You can have the 5 apps right there on the screen, 4 staged on the side, and the one right up front that you're working on. So that's really neat. And you swap them back and forth. If you want to work them this way, you can. Where on this one, you have 2 here, and if I want to open up a third one, I can do it many ways. Okay, this has a sidebar here. I can open up the sidebar and I can open up another app. Let's open up Chrome, and you can drag it over and it can become a free-form floater, or you can add it to Chrome here. And now you can see you've got all 3 open. And what's really nice about this is, let's say we go ahead and open this one up all the way. Now I've got a carousel apps. Very similar to this. This is really fast, very responsive. But so is this, switching from app to app. But again, this is 3 versus 5. Now, you do have a sidebar here. Okay, you could do the same thing. And let's see, with this sidebar, let's see what happens if I tap weather. weather goes in and it replaces one of the apps. Or it actually went in and pushed one of the apps to the side, but I guess the one on the bottom just left. Let's test that out. What if I tap this? Okay, that goes up and that just replaces that one. It knocks out the one that hadn't been used most recent. Over here, you can open this up, and if you tap another app, it becomes a floater, see? And you can open it up here. Can I open up any float? I don't think I can open up any floaters in this setting. So go here and I can open up more apps. So let's see if I can take my mail app and make it a floater. No, see, it just replaces, it will not float. But over here, I could take this floater and I can minimize it over here to the side, and you can do up to 5 different apps over here and they just stack on the thing. So if I opened up maps, for example, made a little, if you go too far, it goes full page. If you go too small, it snaps up here to the side. So anyway, right there, I go and I minimize it. You can see here, they're stacked. And you get up to 5 stacked here. That puts 8. Here, you've got 5 right on the screen that you could choose from. And when you tap on one of these, all it does is come back as a floater. But you have other options. You could tap it and you could tell it to go split screen. And it just took over probably the app that was least most written or used. Anyway, I think you know what I mean. So that's another way to do it here. And then of course up here, you can take these and you can replace any app. Actually, it became a floater right there. Take this one and you could put it here. Okay, you can replace the Chrome with, it tells you which one you're going to replace. Or if you go towards the center, it'll make it a free form. So you got options here. See, so now it's one of my apps on the carousel is set up. So I am curious here. So if I get out of that, let's say I open up 2 apps, open up the Play Store here. Now I've got 2 apps. Can I do a floater now? So let's see what happens. If I tap this and drag it, it says, what does it say? Right split, small window. Okay. So now I actually have a floater right here. Okay. And I can resize. Oh, it shrinks and it went to the side somewhere. I'm not sure where. I guess right here. Okay. And can I resize it any shape? No. I can go there and then it goes full page. So it has its limits too. Okay. So you can do floaters. And can you do more than one floater though? Let's see. What happens if I just tap it? If I tap it, it becomes a floater. I prefer that actually. So go over here and tap GPT. And over here, let's go ahead. We can just tap news. Why not? And then over here, we tap Amazon Music. Okay, you've got these here on the side. So it will only allow you 2 on the screen, and then it pushes the others on the side. If I tap that, it'll replace that one there. Okay, and then if I tap that one, it replaces the other one. So either way, okay, you can only have 2 floaters on the screen, and it looks like you have 2 on the side. Let's go ahead and open up one more, and let's see what happens if I open up album. And the album's a floater, and we've got 3 over here, plus these 2, that's 5. Open another one. Okay, now we've got another floater. So how many we got here? We got 1, 2, 3, 4. We got 4 over here, plus 2 here. That's 6, 7, 8. We were at 8 over here. Let's see if we can do another one. Okay, I open up my file manager. Now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 on the side, 6, 7, 8, 9. Let's keep going. Let's see how many we can get. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh my gosh. Okay, folks, now I got 7 here on the side, and then 2 here, 8, 9, 10, 11. I've got to stop. I could be here all day. That's pretty cool. You've got an awful lot. Now, how many of these do you really need open? Who knows? You close those. Do they go to the side? No, they just closed. But that's really cool that you can have all these on standby, and still have split screen. And then what happens if you open up one of these? Can I drag it? Nope, I cannot drag it there. But what I can do is open it, then I can click on that, and then I can switch to split screen, and I could tell it if I want it on the right or the left. Did it shrink the other one? Probably not. No, it just wrote right over the other one. So there's quite a bit of multitasking you can do with the Vivo, which is great. Whether any of it's really productive or not, that's up to you to decide. Now, with both of these, you have a 6,000 milliamp hour battery. Now, this one's got newer technology on it, so I believe it lasts a little bit longer. I don't know if you noticed or not. We started this video at 95% on both of them, and I've been recording for about 55 minutes. You're not getting 55 minutes where there's going to be a lot of cuts, but for about 55 minutes, and we are at 89% here on the Motorola and 83%. Now, I'm going to be going out and doing a video shoot on both of these and compare those, and we'll check back and see where the batteries are on both of these at that point. Now I'm talking about performance on both of these real quick. Performance, you got a Snapdragon Gen 3 here versus a Snapdragon Gen 5. So there's 2 years of difference here. So there is quite a bit of difference. And as you can see here, I did a performance sense on all my photos, and you can see just by looking at that the Motorola was actually first place there at 1 minute and 27 seconds for a 5-minute video. And you got 2 minutes and 20 seconds for the Vivo. It was fifth place, only beating the Pixel Fold, simply because we know that the Pixel Fold is not made for performance. Now, I'm not a gamer, so I can't really tell you how well this games, but I'm sure it games fine, just like the rest of them. Now, I don't really care to do the 3D Mark test or the benchmark test, although I've done them, but specs don't mean everything. But as far as performance goes, yeah, this is an older chip, so it's not going to perform as well as the Motorola. Now, let's talk real quickly on the Vivo X Fold 6 that's coming out. The Vivo X Fold 6 is actually going to have a MediaTek chip. It's not going to have a Snapdragon chip in it. So its performance is not really going to be right up there with the Snapdragon chips, but it's going to be MediaTek's top chip. So it should perform really well. And I know a lot of you folks are probably saying, why don't you wait and do the Vivo X Fold 6 and compare it? Well, number one, I'm probably not going to get it because it's just way too expensive. It's going to have a 200 megapixel main lens, copying Samsung and the Oppo Find N6 with its main sensor. It's probably going to do really well because they have the Zeiss lens. So if you want it for the cameras, that'd be a great phone to get. But I do have the Vivo X300 Pro, so it's not really something I need to test. I know how all those higher end cameras work and the chipset. But the biggest reason why I won't get the Vivo is because you have to spend a lot more money to get the global version. And there's just too many other foldables coming out this year for me to spend all my money importing a phone. And I'm not going to go for a Chinese ROM again because there are so many limits to this phone versus the global version. And I know this because I now have the global version of the Oppo Find N6 and the Honor Magic V5, so global versions for me is the only way to go. But as far as this phone in comparing it to the Motorola, it has the 50 megapixel cameras just as well as the Motorola, which is exactly what I'm going to get into next. But I have to go do that photo shoot first. So I will put in a couple of photos and a little bit of video here at the end of this video, but I will do a completely separate video on the cameras on these two phones. But as you can see in those photos, in that video, they are very, very close. So now it's time to hear from you. What do you think of the Vivo in this bit of a comparison? Did I miss something? Let me know down in the comments if I did. I'll include it in the continuing video where I do the battle with the cameras. I also want to know if you're excited about the Vivo X Fold 6. Is that going to be your next phone? Or are you still considering the Motorola Razr Fold? Now I want to ask you to do me a favor. Smash that like button down below if you got something out of this video. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, go ahead and do so. If you've watched others before, it doesn't cost you anything to subscribe. Just go ahead and do so you don't miss out on the next continuing battle with the cameras. Now, if you want to see that battle before release date, go ahead and become a member of the channel, and you get early access to all the videos as well as behind the scenes footage and more. Now, if you want to see more content, say on this Motorola Razr, check out this video here where I compare the performance with all these other phones, including the Vivo X Fold 5. Until next time, have a wonderful day and God bless.